Are you recording this?
I can.
Could you please?
Absolutely.
Thank you, my dear.
Let's see. All right. And we are doing both. We are live. It's so wonderful to see everyone. Hello, my name is Anna, and I am delighted to be with you streaming from Facebook and the New York Open Center. The New York Open Center is one of the country's oldest, let me not say oldest, longest running holistic health education and training center in the United States. It is based in New York City, and since 1984 has been a home base, a center for the community who's interested in spiritual practice and holistic health training, gathering, playing, practicing, meeting kindred spirits. And we are still strong. It's in the year 2020. Even though COVID hit, we are now broadcasting all of our programs online and welcoming people from all time zones and all parts of the world to our programs, which is fantastic. The Open Center is going to return into a brick and mortar home at some point. But right now, until the dust settles and we all get back into a place where we can be together one-on-one more or one in a group more, we are going to host our programs online. And today I am so excited. I have the honor of welcoming Lakshmi Voelker and her husband, Bruce, to this conversation. And they are leading teacher training programs in chair yoga. There are 3 different opportunities in the next few months to take a teacher training program with Lakshmi. And this is how we're going to structure our conversation. There's so many places to play with them. I've had the delight of already talking with them a bunch, and it's so much fun. So we're going to talk, and then we're going to drop into the details of the training, because it's a very substantial and rigorous training that gives anybody who takes it 30 credits in Yoga Alliance. It gives you the professional certification to teach this type of chair yoga to people, to children, to adults, in schools and hospitals, in any kind of healthcare setting, or just at home in your community. So there's lots of details to cover that. And we're going to talk and play first, and then we'll drop into the details there. How does that sound? So let me provide a proper introduction to Lakshmi Voelker. So let me ask you first, Lakshmi, how long have you been practicing yoga?
I have to laugh because it blows my mind. I'm in my 51st year.
51 years of practicing yoga.
It feels like just maybe 10 years. It's incomprehensible to me.
That's
The journey
incredible.
that I've been on.
Well, you have an incredible history. In 1982, you created chair yoga.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with that data point. And then in 1999, you were a pioneer, and you took chair yoga and brought them onto CDs and cassettes. When cassettes were around. In 2007, you brought your chair yoga teachings to DVDs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Today, you certify teachers worldwide, and you offer classes online through your website, and also through places like the Open Center, who feel very lucky to have you with us.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been teaching at the Open Center?
Oh my gosh, 9 years? 9, 10 years?
At least.
I think at least 9, 10 years, twice a year. I get to go to New York. I'm in California, so I get to go to New York in the spring and the fall. I mean, what more could a girl ask for?
That's incredible. And I want to say, bring Bruce into the mix, because I understand that Bruce is the brains and the heart behind the scenes, and that you really are part of the reason that Lakshmi was able to bring her teachings to scale, to distribute them through technology.
Yes.
Is that right?
Right, yeah. Shortly after we did the DVD in 2007, I first said to Lakshmi, you know, you're maybe affecting 100 people's lives by teaching chair yoga classes all around where we live. I said, we need to be certifying teachers and multiply that number.
Wow.
So we started doing, you know, we put a little manual together to start, which has grown over the years from the original like 50 pages to 200. Started teaching at the places like the Open Center in Kripalu, and a close friend of Lakshmi's down in Florida. We now have 2,000 teachers all over the world, and they're each multiplying, you know, 100 or more lives they're giving chair yoga to. So we got the multiplier effect. And then we were doing the lives, and people kept contacting me and saying, well, I just can't take the time off from work. You know, I live in the Midwest. It's expensive to go to New York. It's, you know, I can't do it. You know, can you come here? And I said, well, going everywhere isn't going to work either. You know, there's only one, you know, there's only one Lakshmi. I can't have her flying every day. So I said, you know, let's do this online.
Oh,
So that was 9 years ago.
Wow.
When I told Lakshmi, because 9 years ago, people barely knew what Skype was.
Right. That is so true. That is so true.
Lakshmi laughed at me. She said, ah, you can't do that. So I said, well, let's give it a chance and see what happens. So we were ready for this.
That's incredible. So let's go to start at ground zero, let's say, and tell us, what is chair yoga?
chair yoga, Lakshmi Voelker chair yoga is the adaptation of the yoga asanas to a chair. Now they're going to look different, but they're not going to feel different. You're going to feel the same feelings as if you did them on the mat. So I've taken all the asanas, all the pranayama, all the teachings off the mat, literally off the mat, and put it on the chair. So you get a full yoga experience.
That's incredible. And this welcomes yoga for who? You know, who would be taking chair yoga?
Everybody, from a child in school sitting at their desk all day, which is changing, but they are starting to go back to school, to someone with a disability on a wheelchair or a walker or a cane, to somebody fit as a fiddle who just doesn't want to get down on the floor, to someone in the office, to someone on a cruise ship. Anywhere you sit, here comes my tagline, you get fit where you sit.
You get fit where you sit. That's incredible.
It's so empowering for the people that they cannot believe that they do yoga on a chair and they break out into a sweat. I mean, we really work the asanas as you do on the mat, but in levels of flexibility. So everybody, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, what your thumbprint is, what your satnam is, that's what you bring to the chair.
Wow. So when I am sitting all day, you know, so many of us today are sitting.
Mm-hmm.
I can learn some chair yoga where I can stretch out those parts of my body that are really hurting me. Or I'm sure that chair yoga, there's a calming effect that it has for my children who are sitting in chairs for too long, or if I'm traveling. But also I have a dear, dear friend who has mobility issues. And she was asking me, I'd really love to do yoga, but I really can't do it on the mat. So
Mhm.
this is for all of those. Or
Mhm.
my mother, who likely won't get on a mat, but does sit in a chair often enough.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And me, I can do mat yoga. I've done mat yoga. I've taught up to 25 classes a week in my prime. I know about mat yoga, but my body mind wants me to do it on a chair now. So I just get on the chair every morning. And the first thing I do is I come into Tadasana. And that's the most important pose, is to sit up on the chair so you unload your spine. When wording, the Matrika Shakti, the power of the word, when it says, when it tells us sit down, we literally sit down. And look at how much smaller I am and
Yeah.
how disempowered I look. But I asked you to sit up on the chair and align your spine and your legs and breathe into your belly. It changed. The sitting mountain can change your life.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, I did put in the Open Center Live feed, I put several links to Lakshmi demonstrating different poses. We were going to try to demonstrate right now, but the camera wasn't going to be in the best service of that. So for those watching, they can click and learn and model after you doing some chair yoga.
Absolutely. And we're always adding more. So the next week there'll be more added to the links that you're presenting. So always we like to mix it up. We like to keep it fresh. We like to keep it alive.
Thank
And
you.
for those that want to get more, if you go to our website, there's a place to subscribe to our online video classes. It's $4.99 a month. There's over 40 classes ranging in length from 5 minutes to an hour. We wanted to accommodate, something, if you're just on a quick coffee break, maybe you only have 5 or 10 minutes, or you're at lunch and you go, well, I could do a half hour now and come back from lunch feeling better and not have the letdown of the Snicker bar in the afternoon, all of that. So if you click there, it's $4.99 a month. You can cancel whenever you want, but it gives you a chance to really do what your body needs you to do.
That's incredible. So one of the things I've learned, Lakshmi, is that your style of yoga is classical yoga.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
you are a devotee and a teacher of classical yoga and Vedanta.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's pretty special, because what I'm seeing is you took the classical yoga, you didn't iterate it, westernize it. You maintained that integrity, but you brought it to scale and you brought it throughout the world. And some of the yoga principles behind that is Bhakti yoga, the yoga of love and devotion, and then Karma yoga, the yoga of service. So you two really embody that, and you have been so successful about that. But I know that when you started 50 years ago, can we go back there? I need courage to come out. I need courage to come out of into my spiritual full being. And 50 years ago, you were in New York, I understand, in Long Island.
Yes.
With the gorgeous accents that you both have, I believe. Bruce too. So tell us what happened 50 years ago. How did you get started?
Well, I was a hippie and I loved being a hippie. And I was married. I got married young. And I had all the hippie regalia to boot, and the adult education form came in the mail, and it said yoga, weekly yoga classes. And I never heard the word yoga. I had no idea what it meant. So I gathered up my girlfriend and we went to the high school that we both graduated from. So we, kept it kind of close and tight. And in the room walks Anjali Joseph from India. She had a bindi and kumkum, and she had a beautiful sari on. And we were in our Levi 501s with sterling silver bracelets up the arms, doing yoga on our bathroom mats.
Wow.
We had our Madras shirts on, and she walks in, and behind her walks her husband, Jaime, with a turban. And none of that struck me as strange. I didn't go like, whoa, where am I? I just knew, I didn't even know I was in the right place. I was in the right place. I had no knowing that where I was the right place, but it was the right place. And we started doing asana and pranayama, and I fell in love with it. And then 3 years later, we opened Yoga Anand Ashram in Amityville, Long Island, New York, and it's still there. And we did a lot of women's study and a lot of asana and pranayama. I mean, we worked many hours a day on our body, minds, and spirits. And I just continued to grow from that touch point.
Wow. So this must have been, so you pretty odd in Long Island and 50 years ago. So there was your family and friends. How did they respond?
They always thought I was weird. Family and friends just knew I was unique, knew I was weird. I was a hippie. I had long, long, straight blonde hair. I ironed it every day with an iron and an ironing board.
Your hair.
Risky is that? That's almost like ironing your eyelashes. And so nobody was shocked at all. And then 35 years ago, Swami Muktananda gave me the name Mahalakshmi, which means the greatest goddess of abundance. And when I moved to California 25 years ago, I changed my name from Doris to Lakshmi. And that had to have been one of the most important changes in my life. And the importance of that was that I imbibed Muktananda's teaching and Chidvilasananda's teaching, and I became the goddess of abundance, not only financial abundance, it's abundance of friends and home and weather and family, just the abundance of everything, green grass and flowers.
Mm.
So
And
it's
teacher
a
training
wonderful journey. Yes.
and yoga, chair yoga.
Changing her name, talk about making this go worldwide. I said, Lakshmi, I couldn't pay any amount of money to find someone that there only one person on the entire internet named Lakshmi Voelker.
That's true. That is true.
I said I couldn't pay enough money to find a single thing on the internet that there's only one of.
That's
So,
incredible. So that's some really good SEO, isn't it?
Yes.
right.
So Bruce, and then you are a second husband or a second partner, but you also had a similar trajectory where you were in software, weren't you? And now you're selling yoga. Like what, how does that land with you?
Well, I had been a software. I was started as a programmer, and as I aged, I got into sales and marketing, and all the high tech and Silicon Valley, and the crazy world. And then I met Lakshmi. What attracted me to her was that she was a yoga teacher. I said, well, I need to try something different here. So,
Oh boy, something different.
and for those of you that need hope, Lakshmi and I actually met on Match.com.
Oh, wow.
17 years ago.
And I said, when I met her, and I took the story I tell people, and I think, Ann, I told you this yesterday when we had our little pre-meeting. I tell people, I always wanted to do yoga my whole life, but I'm very inflexible from the waist down. I can barely get 3 inches below my knees. I finally took my first chair yoga class. I was so enamored that I married the product. From which I then said, never mind software.
Oh boy.
We need to take this chair yoga, because being physically oriented and playing sports my whole life, I said, I'm now able to do something that I was never able to do and always wanted to. You've made that accessible to me, even though most people, I was playing tennis and skiing, and they'd say like, wow, look at you. But I couldn't do yoga and I wanted to. Mm-hmm. Probably my greatest model of that, for those of you, particularly the males that might be watching, Michael Jordan, after he retired, divulged to the world that he secretly practiced yoga his entire career, but he never told anyone because of the competitive advantage it gave him. And one of the signs was Phil Jackson was his coach in Chicago, and Phil was a pretty meditative kind of guy,
Yes.
from when he was with the Knicks, and he always made his teams meditate. Well, he saw Michael play a game 104 fever, and Michael scored 43 points.
Wow.
Phil just said, this guy, but what yoga had taught him, just like it had taught Tiger Woods, how to separate his mind from the rest of his body.
Wow.
People didn't notice, but Tiger, he used to meditate between each hole. And that's why for all those years, he so excelled and made shots. I mean, he'd be in the trees and hit the ball, between 3 trees, 2 inches from the cup. And people go, how? Because his mind was off in another world. He wasn't anxious and overthinking the
Right.
problem.
Right.
And it was the same way. Phil said, that's not humanly possible. 104 fever. I mean, when Michael came out of the locker room, Phil looked at him. He says, Michael, you can't be playing. He says, don't worry.
Got it. So that's so inspiring. That's so
Yeah.
inspiring. And so then we translate that to our, our sports athletics, but to our life. I mean, just showing up every day and doing what we're here to do and maintaining a home or whatever our work is. Yoga and the meditative and the physical benefits that it provides is unquestionable. And the idea of not needing to be in a yoga studio or on a mat or to actually be able to do it anywhere at any time is really a service to the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it was a leap of faith for me when Bruce decided to go out of the business he was in and into my business. It was like, how are we going to survive? And the way we survived was that every day I just surrendered and trusted. I just said, I surrender, I trust, thy will be done, not mine. And we just kept keeping our nose ever so gently to the grindstone. And here we are, we're married 17 years later, and here we are with you on Zoom.
I know, isn't that amazing?
Wonderful.
What you're saying is so important because there are people all over the world today being activated and waking up to their purpose and their purpose in serving something bigger than themselves. And there's a lot of courage it takes when you took that leap of faith and said, whoa, leaving traditional lifestyles and leaving traditional work to come together and say, we believe in this and we're going to move on it. I love what you're saying, little by little, day by day, a surrender.
And look at now, I mean, people still look at us as weird. I'm still looked at as weird. You do yoga on a chair? What does that mean? Who are you? Where did you come from? And the two of us is just, what we do is what we love. You got to do what you love and everything will work out. It's all about trust, capital T, trust, not about hope. Hope is a little bit flimsy. Trust is more Tadasana, standing up and sitting up and being tall. Hope is a little bit down here. Trust is up here. And we just trusted and we still trust every day.
So I can imagine if I'm studying with you in any capacity, I also get that from you. I get the inspiration and the modeling, the mentoring. It's really quite a full package. It's not just 4 hours on Zoom.
Oh no, you get a lot of joy. It's lighthearted. It's filled with love and understanding. And I let the students know, where you are today is where I was. And when I am with you, I take off the teacher hat and I put on the beginner student hat because I want to feel what they're feeling. And it affords me the opportunity when I get off my high horse and get down to their level, which I'm never up on my high horse anyway. And I get to their level, it's like, oh, okay, I feel what Sally's going through. Oh, Christopher, I understand what he's saying. And that we translate that back and forth to one another. So you have to really check in on your humility level.
Right.
One of the beauties of chair yoga is that the feedback the teachers get once they start teaching from
Yeah.
their students.
Yeah.
We hear all the time and see all the time, stuff that I guess a lot of people go, oh, it's a miracle. Well, it's not a miracle. It's from doing something that actually helps people and affords it. Great example was we did a demo at a dialysis clinic. For those that are not familiar, you sit 5 hours in a Barker lounge having very nasty chemicals pumped into your arm. When you get out of there, you could make a Walking Dead movie.
Mm.
All you want to do is go home and lay down. I actually had it, so we gave them a chair yoga class right after their treatments. I had to physically actually go stand by the door and beg and say to people, if you'll just sit down, if after 5 minutes you're not enjoying this, feel free to go home, but you got to give this a try. So I got everyone to sit down. Within 1 minute of Lakshmi getting them in sitting mountain and taking 3 deep breaths through their nose, filling their lungs, everybody in the room was actually smiling. The staff, they said, this is the first thing we've ever done for our patients that we could see results, and we see that like almost immediately. When stuff like that happens to you, you want to keep coming back.
And I guarantee the new teachers will have experiences like that. I guarantee it. It's a mind blower. And the teachers are groomed by me to bring joy and love into their lives so they can give it back to their students. And then the students give it back to them. And it's just a back and forth. So the open center training, you're going to be real focused on what you're doing and how you want to do it, not how I want you to do it, how you want to do it. I empower my teachers to do and teach the way they want to teach and adapt the poses to the chair their way, not my way. I feel that I would be very arrogant if I said to my students, you've got to do the bound angle this way, or this way for 3 levels of flexibility. And you've got to do crescent moon this way, or this way, or watch out, No, you do it your way. You get on the chair, you feel the pose, and you adapt it from your feeling, not mine. Notice how you're sitting up as I'm talking
Right.
about.
I know you're doing that.
Yes, and that's the energy that the teachers
Right.
transmit to their students.
That's incredible.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit, like, who would be ideal for this training? And maybe even say who wouldn't be ideal for this training.
Anybody. I've had people take my training in a wheelchair with multiple sclerosis. I've had people take my training with one leg or one arm. I've had people that are fit as a fiddle take my training. I've had 21-year-olds. My eldest student that took my training at Kripalu was 88 years old. That was 6 years ago, and she is still teaching LV chair yoga in her patent leather leggings.
Wow. She sounds like Blessed Tao Portion Lynch. Do you remember?
Yes. Oh, bless her.
Tao.
Oh, what a wonderful soul. Yes.
Yes. She
The
just,
majority of our teachers are actually healthcare professionals,
Yes.
not
Okay.
yoga.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right. Yes.
so where would that be? Like in hospitals and medical
Yeah.
centers?
Senior, living
Assisted
facilities.
living, retirement
right.
centers.
Okay.
The VA in the United States, we are the approved chair yoga teacher trainers for the United States. So we work, our teacher, they're all working with wounded warriors. Chair yoga actually has huge benefits in the mental health environment. One of the challenges with mental challenges is while people need exercise, they don't want them moving around too much because it gets them agitated. PTSD is a great example. You know, when the soldier gets agitated, they wind up punching the wall, or sometimes somebody's standing near them.
Mhm.
What they learn from this is how to start breathing properly when they feel an attack coming on, clearing their heads and calming down.
Hmm.
And
And it's
sitting
just
up or standing up,
right. So
one or the other.
they
Get that
right.
energy moving because it gets stuck.
Okay. Okay. So when does the Veterans Project, is that something you're actively doing now?
Well, yeah, we
Oh,
just
yes.
yeah,
We're
we're
very
signing up
actively
all the
doing
time.
it.
We just signed up 11 people from Fresno, California, and 15 people from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Wow. And how do they work with you or train with you?
They do online. It's all online.
Online, 6 video calls with me personally, and they set them up according to their life schedule. Could be every week, could be every 2 weeks. It depends on them, but they get me personally for the training, which is it's delightful for them, and it's beyond delightful for me because I get to make lots of friends all over the world.
Ooh, I bet that's a blessing.
And I'm a Gemini, so the more people around me, the happier I am.
Oh, well, let's dive into the Open Center course because it's really so well designed. And
Yes.
there's layers to it. So let's take a moment to name what those are. I can kick it off by saying that there are 2 Saturdays in a row. So 2 Saturdays in October. Let's focus on like the October cohort. That's one class. 2 Saturdays from 12 until 4. That
Yeah.
is an online with you. But
Right.
then the program has so much more than that, isn't it? It'll end up being 30 hours of
Mhm.
training with you. So should I talk about it or would you like to?
Well,
Oh,
go ahead.
you could ask questions about what do you
Well,
think?
yeah, let
Bruce,
me run through
Bruce
the
is,
outline.
yeah, Bruce has created this, so we'll let Bruce take it.
Uh, there's a lot of homework, basically.
Okay.
You do, I can't remember exactly, there's about 6 or 7 hours before the first Saturday.
Okay.
Of
When
study.
you do the 2 Saturdays, it's everybody, it's a group. It's just like doing a live certification. So everybody's on Zoom all at one time. And then between the 2 weekends, there's another 6 or 7 hours worth of homework. Most of the homework is watching videos. This is a very visual medium, so lots of pictures, lots of videos. And then after the second Saturday, in order to graduate, there's a little bit more homework after the second Saturday, but there's also, you have an assessment of 16 questions that you have to answer. And then each person does a one-on-one with Lakshmi where she reviews the answers to the assessment. And then you teach Lakshmi a 30-minute chair yoga class.
Wow.
Which was something we actually didn't get to do in the old live certifications, because if you had 30 people and each one taught a 30-minute class, there'd be no time to teach them how to teach the class.
Right. Right.
So that last one is more like our one-on-one training where each one is individual with Lakshmi. So the assessment is your written, teaching the class is your oral, and then Lakshmi will let you know if you got a master's or a doctorate.
That's so.
The smiling, what Lakshmi mentioned, we both will tell you over and over, if your students are leaving your class and they are not smiling and feeling really good about themselves, you did not teach an LVCY class.
Oh, that's so good.
And you're trained exclusively to teach an LVCY class. So everybody goes out of the class hysterical laughing or very quiet and pensive. It depends. You know, you might not want to come out of yourself after the class. You might want to self-contain, get in your car or get on your bike or get on your feet and go home or go to your next journey. But I guarantee it's going to change your life. And one class will last for a week, and then you'll be ready for next week's class for sure, the students.
Right. So after you graduate from the class, you can teach. You can be
Immediately.
confident in teaching and sharing this with anybody.
Absolutely. And Bruce and I are available via email for the rest of your life. And you also get to keep all the materials, all the videos for the rest of your life. So
Wow.
we're here for you, and you keep all the materials to review.
That's excellent.
Yeah,
So, so the tuition includes this, a study guide, the manual, which is 200 plus pages with 75 illustrations, permanent access to 7 30-minute classes, so you can always retool and remember, 10 emails with Lakshmi, access to your private yoga teacher alumni site on Facebook, which is super great. So now there's a community all over the world that you are now part of.
Mhm.
And you also get 30 CEUs from Yoga Alliance. And the graduate also gets listed on a database so
Mhm.
that when people are looking for chair yoga in a region, they can find you. They can find
Yes.
your graduate.
Well, they contact Bruce, and Bruce turns them on to whatever teachers are in that area. And then Bruce gets in touch with that teacher and says, Bobby Brown is looking for a chair yoga class. Are you still teaching? Are you willing to teach Bobby? And you say yes. And then, and only then, does Bruce put you in touch with that teacher so you can communicate. But nobody knows that any of my teachers exist. Pictures are not on the database.
Okay.
Information is not on the database. We are a very private couple, and we run our business that way.
Okay.
Mhm.
Fair enough. That sounds great.
The manual.
Wow.
I love it. It's
Wow.
nice.
Look at that.
It's delicious, and you hold it, and it's like, oh, I feel so loved. I mean, the love that's in this manual, the teaching from, you got to realize that I've had masters and gurus for the last 50 years.
Right.
So all of their knowledge and wisdom is in that manual. So when you receive that manual in the mail, it's a mind blower. It's an absolute mind blower. And especially chapter 7, because that's filled with all kinds of Chinese acupressure knee movements, Chinese acupressure hand and body movements, Doing, 8 spinal movements, 8 essential sitting movements. Chapter 7, you will never not know what to teach. All you got to do is pick up that manual, open to chapter 7, get out your lesson guide, and teach your class. And if you're going to be teaching in a new population, a new audience, just email me and say, Lakshmi, I'm teaching for the MS Society. What tips can you give me? Boom, either Bruce or I get back to you.
Wow.
And
Unbelievable.
recordings of all the video calls for the 2 Saturdays, and then the individual call, you get recordings so you can review those and go back. Because no matter how much you go through and you go, wow, that was great. And then 2 days later you go, what did Lakshmi say? You know, that first Saturday at 2 o'clock, you can go back and find out. So it's, important.
How beautiful. It's so incredible what you're doing with so much generosity and love and talent and expertise. I mean, really, it's so touching. There are 3 different classes. Now, I don't know how you're going to pull all of this off because it all sounds so much, but as a student, it doesn't matter. There's opportunities. In October, you're offering this training, a cohort, October 10th and 17th, 12 to 4 Eastern Standard Time. In order to sign up, you have to register. One has to register by September 30th. So that's an important piece. You have to be intentional. You have to make the decision and then make the commitment. And then there's prep work that you're doing between then and October 10th. So that's how it goes. And then again, a whole other cohort is invited to come on November 14th and November 21st. So those 2 Saturdays from 12 to 4.
Mhm,
And then if those two don't work, there's another opportunity in December 12th and the 19th
mhm,
from 12 until 4.
mhm.
And the same thing. Now, all of this information is on opencenter.org, or the Open Center website. And it's rich. So it's worth going there and taking a look at what it is, right?
It is rich.
Excellent.
It's
Now,
indulgent.
absolutely. So I just want to make sure that I've covered all of the things. I mean, there's so much more to say. And I guess maybe now as we're closing, because it's time to go, could you share with us your mission in your work?
I could cry. Ever since I was a little yogini, my wish was to touch as many souls as I could through the gift of yoga.
Mm,
And I thought that that translated as when we lived in the desert, I was in my prime and I was teaching between 24 and 28 classes a week. And that was private students and group classes. And I wore myself down to a nub, an absolute nub. And that's when I met Bruce, and he said, "You need to start training these people to teach what you're teaching." So my mission statement is to touch as many souls as I can with the gift of yoga.
oh, wow. And then you met your co-conspirator who's making that come true.
Yes.
Right, right. I think maybe the story that sums it all up is Lakshmi did a lot of certifications at the Hungerford School on Staten Island. They bus in every day from all 5 boroughs, the most handicapped children in the 5 boroughs. One small boy in 4th grade took his first chair yoga class. Lakshmi asked a question. This young man raised his hand, and as best he could say, he answered the question. Well, they had asked Lakshmi, they had finished early, so one of the aides said, "Could you teach a class so we could watch?" Well, she started to cry after the boy answered the question, and Lakshmi was like, "Oh my gosh, what did I do?" And as it turned out, 4th grade, so he'd been in school 5 years. That's the first time he had ever spoken at school.
Wow.
Spoke at home, but he never spoke a word at school. First chair yoga class. And he said his first, I mean, can you imagine when they went home to the parents?
Wow. That
And
is,
now, and from that point on, he just blah, 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 blah. And it was he was so severely disabled that the best he could do over the weeks was to get that one finger up. And that somatic connection between his finger and his brain afforded him the opportunity to say a flower.
wow. Wow.
So there you have it.
So miracles can happen.
Yes.
Mhm.
And you can get fit where you sit.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I am so touched and honored outside of the Open Center, outside of your classes. What a delight and how special it is to be inspired by you. Thank you for sharing your journey and your mission and your heart and how you broke boundaries and you were pioneers. And this is what the world needs right now. And you are models of that and are teachers and mentors. So thank you so much.
Thank
So,
you for having us.
it's wonderful
Absolutely.
you, Anna. Your energy is so smooth and satin-like.
Oh, well, it is my love. I mean, I love meeting teachers
Yes,
and teachers like you, and I love sharing what you're bringing to the world. So this is total joy for me. And I just can't say enough. Sign up for this class. Whoever is watching this anywhere in the world, you can take this class with Lakshmi Voelker and with Bruce right behind the wings. So go to the opencenter.org website, go to your website, which is Get Fit.
Where you sit.com, all spelled out and together. Get fit where you sit.
Excellent. So with that, I hope you have a beautiful morning or beautiful day wherever everybody is. Thank you so much. We'll see you at the Open Center. Namaste.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.